Welcome all to the latest edition of RGN and the first roundup video for the Commodore Amiga, where we are initially going to take a look at some of the new titles released for the Amiga in 2019. So let's kick it all off with Skill Grid by R.E.R.O. Skill Grid is an endless score attack vertical shoot 'em up game. It starts off at a relaxed pace as the game world is sparsely populated and your spaceship is moving at a slow speed. You soon approach hexagon cells, which when collected by your ship tip, will result in special effects and points being rewarded. Basically, the blue or teal cells result in advantageous effects such as acceleration to your ship's horizontal or vertical movement, a reduction in enemies on screen, an increase to your shield levels or recharge to your weapons, to name a few. While the yellow cells will result in negative effects being applied to your ship or the game environment, such as halving shields, decreasing the shooting rate, or having enemy UFOs chase you directly. There are some cells that make the hexagons all the same colour, and it's up to you to collect the cells based on their image. One of the yellow cells releases the bolt splitter, which sets off a boss battle type combat. If the asteroid timer expires, the game transitions across to an asteroid field where you need to avoid the asteroids until the meter runs out, and then the game returns back to normal. Skill Grid features smooth arcade type action with some great sounding music and sound effects. If you're looking for a simple arcade quality shoot 'em up experience, then Skill Grid is not the game for you, as its shooting action is somewhat lackluster. But those who appreciate a more cerebral experience to their gaming will appreciate the game's strong tactical elements. Overall, Skill Grid is a reasonable attempt to bring something new to the arcade shooter genre. Skill Grid can be purchased as a digital download, or alternatively you may want to consider picking up this nice physical deluxe edition from RGCD, which features a clamshell box, dual case glass mastered CD with a 16 game page manual, some badges and stickers, and 2 diskettes. Next up is Cuba 1898, an action platform scroller by Irongate, a game that sees you play as a Cuban soldier going up against the might of the US military who have their eyes set on taking over the Caribbean island. As you kick off the game, you will immediately notice that the game levels in Cuba 1898 are heavily inspired by Green Beret, which is not a bad thing. Graphically, the game looks nice without being spectacular, and I really like the music playing in the background. However, once the game starts to scroll, the game deteriorates very quickly as any notion of a game providing a fast-paced arcade experience goes out the window. The game moves at a very slow pace, and as a result it becomes just a slog to get through the game's 4 levels. Controls are not responsive, enemies are very easy to avoid and eliminate, and to be honest, there's not much variation in the actual gameplay or enemies from one level to another. But hey, let's not be too harsh on the game, as Cuba 1898 is free for you to download and play. If you have an Amiga 1200, then give the game an hour of your time and see how you go. Those with the Amiga 500 might find that it won't be worth the effort. Moving on to a more polished platformer, we have Celtic Art by Night Owl Designs. I was expecting Celtic Art to be a run and slash game, but boy, was I wrong. Celtic Art is to be played as a scrolling platform game with the occasional use of the attack button. I quite enjoy games that feature mini-style graphics, as they often give off a great feeling of space and freedom, and Celtic Art is no different in this respect. The jumping mechanism within the game is very responsive, unlike the attack mechanism, which requires specific timing to get right, otherwise you will end up losing a life. The overall look of the game is great, with subtle parallax scrolling, and the music is wonderful. Gameplay wise, nothing really new here. Keep on moving right, collecting gold coins, jumping from one platform to another, and avoid the nasties in order to reach a portal at the end of the level. Celtic Art is available for free as a digital download. R.E.R.O Reloaded is a tribute to the original R.E.R.O game that was initially released on the Atari 2600 back in 1982. R.E.R.O Reloaded is an endless vertical scrolling shooter where you fly a fighter jet over a river in a raid behind enemy lines. You score points for shooting enemy planes, tankers, helicopters and bridges. The destruction of enemy bridges acts as a checkpoint for when you restart after crashing or getting shot down. This Amiga port is quite well done, featuring smooth scrolling and some nice atmospheric music. The gameplay on offer is fun without providing anything necessarily new. Overall, an enjoyable homage to a straightforward arcade shooter. And if you're looking for some more R.E.R.O style action with a little bit more depth, then you can't go wrong with Bridge Strike by R3D Project, a game we featured in RGN back in June. Featuring some great looking introduction screens and clean and defined 16-bit pixel art graphics, Bridge Strike is a R.E.R.O clone with very high production values. Bridge Strike's controls are not as accessible as R.E.R.O Reloaded. Learning how your plane accelerates and decelerates is a key to progressing through the game. The shooting mechanism is similar to R.E.R.O in that you can steer the bullets after they've been shot, but beware, by doing this, it also moves your planes in the same direction, and if you're not attentive enough when doing this, you'll find that your plane crashing into the side of a canyon. Bridge Strike features a variable environment with a gradual transition to nighttime being my favourite, with visibility being decreased while little dim lights illuminate from enemy ships and buildings. A very enjoyable experience. The game is available in a physical edition format, but I found the presentation to be poor with the CD provided being a CDR. I recommend you instead look at grabbing the digital download version of Bridge Strike. And to finish off this episode, we have a preview of another Atari game being ported across to the Amiga. R.E.R.O is a homage to R.E.R.O, and based on the 9-level preview, it will provide a very faithful adaptation of the classic game. Everything that we love about R.E.R.O can be found in R.E.R.O. Presented in lovely 16-bit Amiga-style graphics and featuring nice responsive controls. R.E.R.O is sure to be a hit upon its eventual full game release, and we can't wait. Well, I hope you enjoyed our first roundup of the new gaming scene for the Commodore Amiga. There are a lot more titles that were released during 2019, and we'll be back with another roundup next month to cover them for you. Until then, bye for now.